already Q4, which means that we are in the last section of this year, which is always a little bit terrifying. But when it comes to Q4, I'm gonna be really honest, I'm already thinking about next year. So I'm currently not really thinking about like finishing this year. I'm thinking about setting myself up for success for next year, because although, yeah, we still got stuff to do and I have things that are going on, my main focus is how can I set myself up for success next year, because I already kind of know what I want, and because I know what I want, that means that I know I need to do some things to get me into the right position. Also, setting yourself up for success next year usually means it'll help you accomplish your goals for this year, as long as, you know, they all kind of go together, but I assume they do. So let's talk about a couple things you can do to set your TBT shop up for success for the next calendar year. We're gonna talk like half about planning and half about like actual things that I want you to do before this year ends, so that your shop is in a better spot at the beginning of next year than it is right now. That's the goal, is like, how can I make my shop in a better spot for next year than it is now, like in the next, you know, however long you have between watching this and the end of the year. So that's what we're gonna talk about here in this video. We're gonna start with actionable things, and then we'll get into things that I want you to plan for next year, because that's going to be one of the important things. So let us get started. Little plug, if you are thinking about goal setting, or you are goal setting, then definitely make sure that you get my free yearly plan down below. It goes through like each month and like what are things that are important in each month, things that you should work on in each month, and it's really in depth and really great, so you should definitely go check that out. And if you want more help with goal setting to make next year the best year ever, then you should join my goal setting course. It's only available in December and January. If you're seeing this in November, it's a little bit too early, so join the email list and I will let you know when it is available. But if it is December, I will leave the link down below and you can go and join now. And I'll walk you through like everything you need to do to make more money and have a more balanced life and know what you need to do and all that good stuff. So grab something fun to drink. I have coffee. Vanilla, but I'm at the very bottom of my syrup. There's not very much vanilla in there, it's mostly just coffee. But let us get started. Number one is, while you are waiting for next year to start, update some of your products. I don't know about you, but if you have been on TBT for more than like a few years, or even like a few months, you've probably learned something, which means that you have products now that you're maybe not super proud of because you made them a while ago. I personally have 900 products now, and I can very much tell you I am not proud of all of them, because I have products that are old and that I made, and when I made them I thought they were good, but they really weren't, and it took me a while to get to where I am now in like how I make my products and making them look really nice and making them valuable and all that kind of stuff. Not to say they're not valuable, most of them are just ugly, but there's a lot of things that I need to update. And so in the next few months, I'm really looking at updating more of my products so that I can go into next year with more of my products being like super high quality that people want to buy. Because if someone sees your product and it looks real janky, they're probably not going to want to buy it, and then they're not going to want to buy anything else from you because they're like, oh, this is janky. So if you have products that are outdated, go and update them. When I'm going to update, I look at first just anything that makes me like cringe a little bit when someone buys it. So that's number one. Number two is things on the first page. So my best sellers that are not up to snuff, that are not up to like my current level of standards. The best sellers page, because they come on the first page. So you want them to look nice, right? And then I look at the things that have made me the most money. You can look at this seasonally or like forever. Just go to your dashboard, change your time period to whatever you want the time period to be, and then over where it says include all products, just click on that and it'll tell you like what has made you the most money, which is not necessarily what's sold the most, because a lot of times my top ones are bundles. So then you can look through those and you can see, okay, are there anything on here that's not great? Is there something in a bundle that's not great that I need to update? And you can look through those. So that's 3 different ways to look for like what you need to update, and that's kind of the process I go through in determining what I'm going to update. Also, update your products so that you don't have things that just make you really sad and scared when people buy them. Number 2 is boost your email list. First of all, if you don't have an email list, that'd be a great thing to do in the next couple of months. But if you do have an email list, boost it. I am making content about things that get you onto my email list. I'm talking about freebies that are connected to my email list so that when you join, you get that freebie, and that's really helpful. And I'm making more content, and I'm making, you know, stuff on Instagram, and I'm doing all the things to try to make sure that I get as many people on my email list as possible, because here's the thing. Not only does the email list make you proportionally more money than like anything else, one. Two, you own your email list. Like, those names are yours, instead of like Instagram, where Instagram can just like, you know, shut my account down for no reason. It happens. And so like there's that, like, I own this kind of property. And then on top of that, if you send an email and you have 5 email subscribers, or if you have 50, or if you have 500, or if you have 5,000, it's the same amount of work on your part, but you get a lot more out of it if you got 5,000 than if you have 5. So I see boosting my email list as one of the best things I can do, because if I have more people on my email list, I'm still doing the same amount of work, but I'm getting more out of it because it's going to more people. So that's called leverage, when you do like the same amount of input and you get a lot more out of it. So boost your email list, make it as big as you can between now and the end of the year. If you don't have an email list, great time to start. That's a great thing that you can do to get yourself prepared for next year. Next up is create content. So really what I want you to do is grow whatever content platform you're using. So if you have YouTube or blog or Instagram or podcast or Twitter or whatever, I want you to grow that, because again, this is another thing where you can apply leverage and you can do the same inputs but get more outputs if you have a larger following. So create some content, really find like what are the really good things that are really going to help you get found, that are really going to help people like want to follow you, and make that content now so that again, your audience is bigger by the time we hit next year. And so the next one is think long term. So long term, what do you want? What do you want in 5 years? What do you want in 10 years? What do you want in 3 years? What do you want in 1 year? Where do you want to be? Where do you want the business to be? Where do you want you to be? What do you want the business to look like? I don't have this all ironed out, but I do try to think about it, because the more you think about it, the more you realize what you need to do today to get to that place. So if I know I need to make X amount of money, then I need to do certain inputs to get those outputs. If I know that I eventually want to have like a whole team, then I'm gonna approach my products and I'm gonna approach my business differently than if I want it to just be me. If I know that I need like, you know, huge growth and I want like this massive business, I'm gonna approach it a lot different than if I want just, you know, a little side hustle. So think about long term, like what do I want in 1 year, in 3 years, in 5 years, in 10 years, and where do I kind of want my life to be? I like to do this just in my journal. I'll like take out my journal and I'll be like, okay, in 10 years, it's gonna be this calendar year, I'm gonna be this age, and I want to have already done these things, and this is where I want to be, and this is what I want, you know, where do I want to live, what do I want to do, what am I doing in my business? And having those things really, I call it like dream casting, and dream casting really helps you to figure out what you need to do today in order to make that happen. So thinking about that with your TPT shop changes things. I've been thinking a lot about this actually, because someone asked me and I was like, oh, I don't know where I want the business to be in 5 years. I think about it all the time, like personally, what do I want? But I don't think a lot in terms of like the business. And so since then I've been thinking a lot about it, because there's some things that I want that I know are different than kind of like what I'm currently building towards. And so thinking about those things that I want long term, I really have to think about what can I do now, what inputs can I do now to reach that future. And it just helps you to kind of align everything and make things more consistent. Next up is make some products, and not just any products, but I want you to make the products that you know you need to make that you don't want to do. Maybe it's just me that has this list of things that I know that I need to make, but I really don't want to, because I just know it's gonna be hard and it's gonna be time consuming and it's gonna take forever and I don't want to do it. And those are usually the things that you need to do the most. So whatever those things are that you're like dragging your feet about, that you don't want to do, take those and work on those. And those are the things you need to work on in the next couple of months, especially if you have one or two that you really have been thinking about forever, that you know is gonna do well, that you don't want to do because it's hard. That's the one that I want you to do, because if you bite the bullet and you do it, usually those are the products you need to make, and those are usually the products that make you the most amount of money. I have been experiencing this personally because I just made a product the other day that I have been working on for 2 years. Made it 2 years ago, stopped, worked on it last year, stopped because it's seasonal, of course. And so then I started working on it this year, spent like a full month on it and finally posted it, and it has taken off. And the frustrating thing is I knew it would do that. Like I knew it was gonna do well, and I just didn't bite the bullet and do it. Now, that being said, 2 years ago, I didn't know the things I know now, so I don't think it would have been as good if I did it 2 years ago. Last year, I probably could have done it. I've been missing out on all this revenue for all these years because I didn't make the product that I knew I needed to make. So what are those things that you know you need to make that you maybe don't want to do, that maybe seem hard, because those are the things everyone else thinks is hard and they're not going to make either because they're like, I don't want to do that, it's too hard. And teachers don't want to make it because it's too hard and it takes too long. So you need to be the one who does it and puts in the time and makes all the effort so that people will pay you the money for it, because clearly it's going to be helpful, I hope. Make the thing that you know you need to make that you don't want to make. Just do it. You have time. You have time right now to like prepare your stuff for next year. Next up is kind of on the same updating situation, and that is update your listings. So before we were talking about like updating products, but also make sure that your listings are updated. If you have changed your thumbnail style, if you have products that don't have previews, that don't have thumbnails, make sure that you have like pretty covers that are really good, that look nice, so that you can have those things that make you money. Again, the way that I look at this, less more of the cringe-worthy factor, but I look first at the first page. Those are the things you need to fix first because they're on the first page, people can see them. Secondly, things that are making you the most amount of money, because those are things that you want to look as nice as possible so that more people will buy, because you can increase your conversion rate if you do those things. So work on that for the next, couple months, and you can increase that conversion rate and go for it. And lastly, start thinking about your plan for next year. I already have a running list actually in this notebook where I have started writing down ideas of things that I might want as my goals for next year. They're not a final list because I'm still like 3 months out as I'm making this, but it's a couple of ideas. It's kind of like intentions, and I kind of play with them from now till the end of the year. I like doing this early because it gives me time to make sure that what I'm choosing for next year is actually what I care about and actually what suits me, because it's really easy to get caught up in like January 1st goal setting and be like, oh, I'm gonna do this thing, I'm gonna do that thing that maybe isn't the best option for you and maybe isn't the best option for your store. And so instead, if you can make a plan now and then revise that plan over the next couple months, then you'll have a much better list of things you're actually going to do and things that are actually going to make you money, that are actually going to move your business forward, instead of throwing things together while you're in the moment and just coming up with crazy ridiculous things, because I've been there. So I already have a running list of like, this is where I think I want to make this much money, I think I want to do this, I think I want to do that. And then it also helps because you can start doing those things now, which is also really helpful because it kind of gives you a jump start on next year if you already know what you want next year to be. So figure out what you want next year to be and get started on that. A couple of things I want you to look at in that is, of course, like decide on your goals and what you want your goals for next year to be. Make sure you join that goal setting course so that you can get, your whole year planned out, your best year ever. But also you want to look at a couple other things. So look at what is working in your store and what's maybe not working. What are the products that are selling? What are the products that aren't selling? What's working, are you spending a whole bunch of time on something that's not making progress? And not it works for other people, but what's working for you, because it may not be what works for other people. Some people make a ton of money off of Instagram. I don't make a ton of money off of Instagram. I'm like just now starting to see a little bit of a return from Instagram, which is hard to track because you can't buy things on mobile and Instagram's on mobile. So there is like that little issue of it. But that being said, still, like, it hasn't been as profitable as many other things, but I know other people like do really, really well selling on Instagram. So because I know that I don't need to spend a bajillion years on Instagram, and that when I'm growing my following, yeah, it's great to showcase products, but it's even better to showcase my email list and get as many people over there, because my email list makes me a lot of money. Okay, so look at what's making your store run and what's working in your store and do more of that. Make those notes. Also figure out what products you're gonna make, starting with things that are selling. So again, look at your best sellers, look at your best sellers in the last 30 days, look at your best sellers of all time, like your most profitable products ever, look at those and figure out what are products you can make in the future that are going to do well. We're not just making random things, but like pick things that go along with things that have been doing well, so that you know that the new thing will work and you're not just flying in blind, spending a lot of time on things you don't need to. Make data-backed decisions so that you can make those products that do well. Make bundles, make product lines, make it all happen, make it all consistent and all go together. And lastly, make a list of more things that you might want to update or things you want to change in the next year, because again, I have a lot of products, so I personally have a lot of things to update. I have been doing better about that, but I have a lot on the list for next year, so make sure that you are also doing that, as well as anything else you want to start. But go ahead and like start making the list of products, start making the list of content you want to make, start making the list of things you need to update, start making the list of things you want to do, because you have time now to think about it, and that way you can like get a jump start on next year and you're ready when the clock strikes midnight. You're ready to go. You're not sitting there like, oh, well, what am I gonna do? I don't know. Or even worse, you got like 2 weeks into January and you still don't know what you're gonna do. So start thinking about it now, so that you have that all planned out and ready to go, and you can hit the ground running in the next year. Thank you for watching. Let me know if you have any like goal setting questions, especially over on Instagram. It's at becca.e.davis. You can follow me there, send me a message, let me know your goal setting questions, and I'll be happy to talk. Goal setting is where I like nerd out. Like, yeah, productivity, planners, planning, that kind of stuff I love, but goal setting is where I really shine, and I really enjoy it. So let me know your questions. I'll leave a link to the course down below if it's open, and if it's not open, join the email list, and I'll see you next time. Bye.